Yeah, so welcome back, y'all. We're gonna talk about Lizzo, the singer Lizzo, and man, just astronomical disaster in the music industry, guys. I'm looking at these charts right now. I'm just looking at. I'm looking for someone who didn't make the charts, and it looks like Lizzo. Lizzo dropped her fifth studio album called "The B Word" on June 5th, and when the receipts came in, Illuminate pure comedy, man. I mean, 2,649 copies. I said that right, y'all. And it's just one of those things where reality checks hit you, and you just realize you didn't really make the smart moves as an artist should have. That's on a very mainstream platform. Um, didn't even crack the 200 Billboard. The top 200 albums in the country, and the multi Grammy winning global pop stars. Yeah, so she didn't even crack the Billboard 200. The top 200 albums in the country, and it's just one of those things where you just look and just realize like kind of what happened. So it's like you know the multi Grammy winning global pop star is now nowhere to be found. In week two, it dropped to 650 units. I've seen SoundCloud rappers from the trenches kind of do better than that. Was just pretty crazy, being that she's on the main stage like she is. And she's very talented, by the way. I'm not going to sit up there and bash her. She's very talented. I just think that she made a lot of mistakes. We'll get into it. Um, it's like uh, this is just a clinical case of what happens when the culture leaves you behind and you refuse to look in the mirror. You know, um, Lizzo didn't just flop. She went on the internet and went on X, went on TikTok crying and complaining. It's just complaining that the algorithm is racist or fat phobic, you know, and that her fans aren't seeing the posts. She called herself desperate flop because the internet was clowning her. But we got to talk about the real reason. Let's get into it. So, let me kind of get this right, man. You can't really blame everybody for your mistakes, right? You just got to look in the mirror and say, I made mistakes. She posted, and I quote, streaming replace radio. And I was radio darling. I was a radio darling. That's how my fans discovered my music. And then she goes on to talk about how the algorithms are destroying the music industry. Lizzo, listen to me, man. Listen to me real good. The algorithm didn't sue you. Your backup singers did. You can't blame Mark Zuckerberg or Elon Musk because nobody clicked stream on your project. Look, the stats are what the stats are. Her last album special in 2022 did all right. It did 69,000, equivalent to first week's sales, and about damn time was everywhere. You know, now you can't even get to 2.7 million streams. And you can't even. It's just one of those things. Drake gets 2.7 million streams when he's brushing his teeth. You know what I'm saying? It's just one of those things, baby girl. You gotta understand that this is the big leagues. This is the record label industry, music business. I said record label industry. I'm going crazy. But Lizzo, let's talk, babe. Let's talk, dog. Let me talk to you. let me tell you something about radio, darling. Because like Ray Daniels, the music executive himself, came out and straight up called her explanation BS. You know what I'm saying? He's the one that kind of had his hands on her early in her career, if I'm not mistaken. And he's right. When you're a major artist, she signed to Atlantic Records. You had the access to the biggest marketing on the planet. You're on a major machine. Sh- Blaming a shift to streaming in 2026 is wow. That's just a way of life right now for at least the mainstream consumer of music. Streaming replaced radio 10 years ago. Where you been at? You know what I'm saying? But radio's still important though, because radio gives you that polish. You know what I'm saying? I get into another video. The problem is, it's not that people can't find your music. The problem is people don't want the music. Going on social media to scold your audience for not buying your record is just like the ultimate sign of just the ego and detachment. It's what I call going outside. It's like you're asking for sympathy streams. Music is an emotional investment. You know what I'm saying? If people feel like your public persona is a contradiction to your private actions, they aren't going to stream you. You know what I'm saying? They're not going to even open up your Spotify and give you the time of day. You know, you need to settle them lawsuits, disappear for a while, could be a couple months, hire a completely new production team, come back entirely different with a different narrative and stop using this whole big girl, thick girl image thing. That's blocking your way of your actual music. People are talking about your weight more than your actual music. You know, just drop the gimmicks and just sing. We don't want to hear no more talking from you. Just sing. You know, the flute is cool, the singing is cool, but the talking ain't cool. Stop talking. So it gets deeper because she is in allegedly in a 360 deal with Atlantic and Nice Life. The label extracts their value from her publishing. You know, her past hits and her masters, but when it's time to push a new album that has zero traction, they aren't going to throw that money in. She knows that. She needs to understand that if she don't know that. They're not going to just throw good money out the bag. Then she goes on TikTok saying I promoted my album super hard and people aren't calling me desperate. I mean, they're calling her desperate on the flop, but and when you're going through things like this, of course, it's going to hit you financially. $4 million loss on the Beverly Hills home. Should have put it up for sale. You can't get a write off for that. These are the things that happen when you just don't have the right team behind you. It's just like the audience just realized that the empowerment anthem era just that era of the pop music shifted. The culture moved onto the skinny white pop girlies. The Sabrinas, the Charlie XCXs. The wave she rode in on 2019, just during that political climate during that time. That was back then. That wave broke. If you don't evolve your sound, you'll just become a novelty act. Novelty act. You know what I'm saying? But unfortunately, man, it's a wrap, man. She needs a total culture and financial reset. Let us know what you think, guys. Think in the comments, man. Is Lizzo officially done, or can she just pull back from the setback? Let me know what y'all think, man. I'm out. Oh, I forgot. Don't forget, smash the like button, hit subscribe for more content.